Welcome everyone to Quiubo LC. Today is our first video, our first YouTube video. My name is Rafael and today I want to explain you the verb ir and the reflexive form irse. Ir translates into to go and irse means to leave. Normally reflexive verbs, which are the verbs that ends with se, translate into for example is done by oneself or itself. In this scenario is not like that. Irse means a different verb. Sometimes we do that. We this Hispanic people, we use the reflexive form of one verb or many verbs in order to say a different verb, a complete different verb. In this scenario may be a little bit related with ir, but it's not always going to be like that. Plus, irse is also used in other situations too, not just to say the verb to leave. We are going to see that today in this video and you can identify the difference between both. First of all, I want to show you now the conjugation of the verb ir and the verb irse, which is the reflexive form of ir. So, in one of the columns we have the personal pronouns yo, tú, él, ella, usted. So yo is first person, tú is second person, él, ella, and usted is third person. You may be wondering why usted is third person. If usted in English will translate into you. Also, tú means you. But we use a different conjugation for usted. We're referring to a second person, but the conjugation will always be as it is with él and ella. Also, when you refer to eso, esto, all the different translation of the word it in Spanish. Then we have nosotros, nosotras. In that situation, we may use the feminine personal pronoun or the masculine personal pronoun for we. Vosotros and vosotras, same rules apply. Which this is the Spanish form. This is this is something that people in Spain use. Normally in Latin America we don't use it, and I have to be honest with you, it's not mandatory to know this. For example, I have met many people, and I'm one of them, that I never use this. And this personal pronoun and its conjugation, and I can still comprehend perfectly the Spanish of a person from Spain, and they can perfectly understand me. Ustedes, ellas, ellos. Same rules apply as it is with él, ella, and usted. Ustedes is the plural form of usted, so it would be the same conjugation as ellas and ellos. So let's start. One by one, repeat after me. Yo voy. Yo voy. Tú vas. Tú vas. Él, ella, usted va. Él, ella, usted va. Nosotros, nosotras vamos. Nosotros, nosotras vamos. Vosotros, vosotras vais. Vosotros, vosotras vais. Ustedes, ellos, ellas. Or ustedes, ellas, ellos van. Ellas, ellos, ustedes van. Now we are going to use the conjugation. This is, by the way, both conjugations are uniquely the conjugation for present simple. So in the case of irse, we will use the reflexive pronoun. Do not forget that each personal pronoun has its own reflexive pronoun. So obviously in the case of él, ella, and usted, they use the same one. And by the way, ustedes, ellos, and ellas, they use also the same one as él, ella, usted, which is se. In the other scenarios, there is one by each personal pronoun. Yo me voy. You will say exactly the same as the conjugation with ir. in the case of IRSE, you don't change the conjugation. The only thing you do is you add the the reflexive pronoun. And it will be the same for all the reflexive verbs. Yo me voy. Yo me voy. Repeat after me. Tú te vas. Tú te vas. Él, ella, usted se va. Ella, él, usted se va. Nosotras nos vamos. Nosotros nos vamos. Vosotras os vais. Vosotros os vais. Ustedes, ellas, ellos. Ustedes, ellos, ellas se van. Now here I have 3 examples that may be quite useful for you in order to have an idea about the conjugation of the verb ir. Uniquely with the verb ir, we will use the reflexive form later, in this video, but later. So the first one is Yo voy a Alemania. That's a simple phrase, simple sentence. It's not that complicated, it's not complex at all, which means I'm going to Germany. Or, well, I go to Germany. To be honest, it will be exactly like I go to Germany. Yo voy a Alemania. Yo voy a Alemania. You better make a pause between a and Alemania in order to make a difference between both a's. Second one. Tú vas allá. Tú vas allá. You go there. We have different ways to say there. It may be allá, allí, or ahí. To be honest, it will be exactly the same. I mean, we don't care which one you use in the real life. It doesn't matter, to be honest. So up to you which one you want to prefer. Here I decide to use allá, but it's not mandatory to be uniquely with allá. The third one is not that simple. In fact, it's a little bit more complex. The first part, which is what I'm going to highlight here with yellow, as you can see, just that part says we are going. Okay, we are going, or we go. Precisely, if you want to translate word by word, will be we go. And that's okay. That's the same thing like in English. But why we say caminando? Caminando means walking. So when do we say that? When, for example, somebody asks you like, hey, yes, you are coming or you are going there, or you're going to any place. It doesn't matter the place here now, for now. So, but how? How are you going there? We are walking. Okay, so we are going there, walking. You can use other displacements there. For example, driving, or if you want to use, for example, flying, or I don't know, riding a bike, all of them will be perfect. We're perfectly matched in this sentence. So let me just show you one more thing. Now I have here a new sentence, which may be quite confusing because it is almost the same as nosotros vamos caminando. The only thing we change is the last verb, which is comer. The last sentence that I explained you make that sense because it was a displacement verb. But here, comer is not a displacement verb. So this means something different. You just need to know that there may be other situations where we can say almost the same but with different verbs, not just displacement verb. So that's why I'm showing you this. By the way, in this scenario, specifically in this scenario, it means kind of like we're about to start eating, okay, or we're about to eat. Kind of like that. I will explain that in my classes. If you want to have private lessons, don't forget you can you can send us a direct message by Instagram, TikTok, or even so you can write us on the comments in YouTube, and I will explain all these topics and more things in my private lessons. So for now, let's continue. Here I have three more different examples. Three different examples for the verb IRSE, which is the reflexive form. As I told you previously, the verb IRSE is the reflexive form of the verb ir, but it's not going to translate done by oneself or itself. In fact, it's going to mean a different verb in English, which is the verb to leave. So, the first one, yo me voy mañana, which means I am leaving tomorrow. That's what I will translate exactly word by word. Yo me voy mañana. Yo me voy mañana. The next one, ustedes se van de Perú. You are leaving Peru. Ustedes se van de Perú. And the third one, ella se va. She leaves. Ella se va. She leaves. It's not mandatory and it's not necessarily to say when is she going or when is she leaving or where to. I mean, you can just say like ella se va. She leaves, and that will be a complete phrase, to be honest. What I try to say when I said a complete phrase is that that may be enough. Okay, enough information is not something incomplete. That's what I mean. It's not an incomplete sentence. You can say she lives, and that's it. Okay, for example, what is she doing? She lives. In Spanish, it will be ¿qué está haciendo? Ella se va. So that's okay. That's enough. So now I'm going to show you one last example for the conjugation of the verb irse, but this is interesting because here I'm going to explain the different meaning of the verb irse, which is not going to be precisely leave. Yo me voy para Colombia. As you can see here, we have a different preposition, the preposition para. I'm going to explain what are the importance of the prepositions for these verbs, for this verb, yes, for both verbs, to be honest, in the next slide. But for now, I can explain you that because of that preposition, it changed the meaning here. So it says, yo me voy para Colombia, which means I am leaving to Colombia, or I'm going to Colombia. Okay? In fact, it's more like I'm going to Colombia. So sometimes irse may be like I am going. No, I'm going myself. Definitely, it is rare to say that, even in Spanish or in English. When we're trying to say just we are going there. Okay, why we use that? We just do it. To be honest, because you can say yo voy para Colombia or yo me voy para Colombia. It's not going to make a difference at all. It's going to be almost the same. But the important thing here is that the preposition para may change the meaning of the verb irse. Change it into the verb to go again. So before I explain you the prepositions you can use with the verb ir and the verb irse one by one, with each preposition, I want to explain you 4 synonyms of the verb to leave, which in this scenario is irse. So the first one is largarse. Largarse, you use it when you are trying to say aggressively that you are leaving because you're scared, because you're upset, or any negative feeling or any negative reason. I don't suggest you to say so unless you want to express that you decide to leave, maybe because you have a hurry, maybe because you're scared, or maybe because you feel, I don't know, you feel that you're upset or that you have been humiliated, something like that. In fact, sometimes it may be a little bit rude to say this verb. The second one, partir. Partir will be when you are focusing on the starting point of a trip or a displacement. Let's call it like that. For example, the airplane. El avión parte a las 6, which means the plane is going to start its trip at 6. It may be not just for the time, also maybe for a place. Yo parto de Colombia. My starting point of my trip is from Colombia. The third one is abandonar, which is to abandon. You use it especially when you are going to tell a sad story. For example, yo abandoné a mi esposa. This is something. This is just an example. It's like you abandoned your wife. You had a relationship and you decide to walk away and never come back. Abandonar is to leave and never come back. And marcharse will be also to leave and kind of like not coming back. So I don't suggest you to use these four verbs unless you are in those specific situations. Normally, it's better to say irse. That would be the most accurate, or in most of the scenarios, it will be the most accurate verb for the situations. So now I have here the prepositions. These are the prepositions that you can use with ir and irse. Please, before we start, please take into account the prepositions cannot be translated one by one into English because it's not going to work at all. And if you speak another language, if you are native in another language, or you are you have good skills in other language, in other languages, I don't think it's going to work. So the prepositions are a hard topic. Okay, I explained this in the private lessons. In fact, the private lessons are not that expensive. You can take a free trial. So just write me a direct message and I can explain you the meaning of each of them in the classes and all the topics. You can learn Spanish with us. This video, in this specific video, because we're using the verb ir and irse, has some specific translations, but it depends on the verb, and this is important. You have to take into account what verb is before the preposition. So depending on the verb, it may have a different meaning. In this scenario, ir a, irse a, both means like going to or leaving to. It doesn't matter where you are. The important thing is that you're leaving because you're going to one specific place. Con. Con is the easiest preposition maybe, which means with. I'm going with my family. I'm living with my family. Contra. Okay, contra is something that we don't use in the formal Spanish. We only use it for the informal Spanish. And it means more like you are going and you're going to hit something. For example, yo voy contra la pared means like you are going to hit the wall. Okay? It's something that we use that we are about to hit something, not in a way that you are wanting to. It's more like you are doing it because you're going to have an accident. And also we use it for example, when you say the expression yo voy contra la corriente, but I'm going to explain that in a different video. Okay, I'm going to leave those kind of topics for a different video. Plus, this video is already too long, so I don't want to make it longer. De means normally means of, but in this scenario means from. Okay, so yo voy de Colombia. You cannot say that. You cannot use it with the verb ir. So I'm going to write here. I'm going to write here ir. Just let me just. I know it looks really bad. So it means that you cannot use it with ir. And in the case of desde, you can use it with irse. That one is okay. So desde, you can use it with ir and irse. Yo me voy desde Colombia. Yo voy desde Colombia. In both scenarios, it means that your starting point is Colombia. Okay. En is when you are referring about the transportation method that you're using for these verbs. For example, yo me voy en cicla, which means that you are leaving or you are going using a bike. Okay, not just a bike, maybe with a car, maybe with anything. It doesn't mean precisely that you are driving it. For example, the car, you're not going to drive the car. It may be that you take a taxi or somebody drives you to that place. Or you're leaving because somebody drives you to somewhere else. Asia. Asia means until, also hasta. Okay, Asia and hasta. Hasta means exactly like until or to. Okay, I'm going. No, it's more like until. Hasta is until, and Asia is to. For example, I'm going to Colombia. Yo voy hacia Colombia. What would be the difference of a and Asia? Asia means more like that is not precisely your final destination. That's just the reference point that you use for that displacement. For example, yo voy hacia el norte means that you're going to the north, but the north is massive. So where in in the north, we don't know. It's just that your reference point in this displacement is the north. Okay. Hasta means until, so that one is okay. Both you can use yo voy or yo me voy hacia, or yo voy or yo me voy hasta. Durante. This means doing, for example, doing something during the night. Yo me voy durante la noche. I'm leaving during the night. That's what is going to translate word by word. Para and por. Para and por, not going to explain that. Those both verbs are the hardest verbs in Spanish, the hardest prepositions in Spanish. If you want to learn about them, I will suggest you to have private lessons with us. You can write us a direct message. Yes, I'm saying this once more because I'm not going to explain everything in the YouTube, okay, or in any of the posts, because there's not there's no way that you will learn Spanish just with YouTube or just with any app or things like that. It's not going to work. I mean, I have to be honest with you. You may try, maybe it may work because everyone is different. Everyone has a different mind. So it's up to you, but I would suggest you to have private lessons. Okay. Para and por has different meanings. In this scenario, para means to. Okay. In this scenario, that doesn't mean that always is like that. So yo voy para or yo me voy para means like you are going to a destination, any destination you want. And yo voy por. Okay, por means, or yo me voy por means like you are talking about what way you are using in order to live or in order to go. For example, yo voy por la izquierda means like you are going, taking the left, the way that is on the left. Okay. And if you also use por, may means that you're supporting something. For example, yo voy por Colombia means like you are supporting Colombia. When do you use that? Especially in sports, okay, or maybe political, in elections, maybe in elections too. Sin. Mm, yo voy sin means like without. In this scenario, means without. So you're living without something, okay, or without somebody too. Okay, yo me voy sin él. I'm living without him. I'm going without him. Yo voy sin él. So this is the explanation of the verb ir and the verb irse. I know this video is a little bit longer, but that's because this is one of the hardest verbs in Spanish. I'm just using the explanation the for the present tense. I will have this video maybe in the course that I'm creating for the people who want to learn Spanish. There are some people who want to learn Spanish and cannot or doesn't have any time at all to have private lessons. So because of the schedule, they cannot have a specific hour in a specific day lesson. So that's why I'm creating that, just for the people who want to have like a second option. You can learn Spanish with that. Yes, you can. I'm going to make the easiest and the best way possible in order to make people understand Spanish. Obviously, you need to put it in practice. You have to talk with somebody in Spanish. We also have speaking classes or dialogue classes where you can have dialogues with native speakers. Okay, some of them will be with me. So that will be everything for today. Please do not forget to follow me on YouTube to support these videos. This is a new project with the YouTube channel, so every like, every follow, that will be an amazing help for me and that will be an inspiration to continue doing these kind of videos. If you have any questions, please write down in the comments, and I will answer as soon as possible. And see you in the next video. Thank you so much.